Evening folks and welcome back to Blackrock Park. What is actually going to be the penultimate episode of Blackrock Park. I've decided we're not going to bring the tundra animals into the park. We're going to keep those separate. We're going to do a separate tundra park at some point down the line. So what we're going to work on today and in the final video, which will be the next video, is we're going to build our science center. We've been talking about this for a long time. This is somewhere we're going to have various different things, but that will also include the exhibit animals, which are the last three animals we need to bring into the park from North America. That's the Gila monster, the rattlesnake, and the big hairy scorpion, I believe. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. So, had a few ideas about what I want to do. I've talked about this in the past. The idea is to have a general science building. So you're going to walk in, we're going to have like an aquarium, we're going to have the exhibit animals, we're going to have like a planetarium. I know we've already done a planetarium, but we're going to do another little planetarium thing, and then maybe some general science stuff. I'll have to think of that in a little bit. Really today we're just going to get the outside of the building done, sort of some of the detailing on the inside, and then the whole area will be finished off as well. The entirety of the rest of the park is basically finished as of the end of this video, and it's just the inside of this building that we'll need to do, plus maybe a little bit neatening up like a couple other things. But yeah, we're really close to being done. It's really exciting stuff, and it's coming together really nicely. So basically we're doing like a glass shell. I did find a building online, not a Planet Zoo one, like a generally designed building that I really like the look of, so I've done something based on that. Doing like a glass shell. The glass is thick, as in like there's a gap, so it's two layers of glass and then there's a gap in the middle. I was going to bring water in there, and you're going to see me try that later on, but it doesn't really work. So what I might do is instead bring in some plant life in there, just something in between the glass to make it look a bit more like a sciencey building, I guess. Just, you know, bring in the natural elements a little bit, because although this is quite a modern looking building by the end, the idea is always with Blackrock Park to integrate. I just punched my desk. Ow. The idea is always to integrate those more natural materials. So I'm going to think about that a little bit. A lot of what we've done already will be scrapped later on, I shall see, but we'll get there. So my main inspiration for the building was this glass building I saw online that had that's not pure white, is it? Did I change that? Yeah, there we go. Make that nice and white. It kind of had this very natural looking, it looked like plaster or plastic or something like that. It's like these white tree shapes moving up and down across the building. You'll see what I mean in a moment, but we're basically going to cover the whole thing in those. It's a really nice fusion of the natural and the man-made, and plus, you know, it makes a lot of sense for a science building, I think. We'll see what we think by the end of this video anyway. And then, yeah. So early in the morning. It's like 7 AM. Right. Decided to scrap the roof. I thought I'd go for the corrugated plastic because it blends in with the plaster on the side. But at the end of the day, from the top, this building still has to blend in with the other buildings. You know, this still has to match every other building we have. It's still a Blackrock Park building. So we're going to swap that over to the wood. We're going to bring in some metal on the top and stuff like that down the line, and eventually do bring in the wooden pathing on the floor as well. Again, I really want everything to feel like it goes well together. So we're about to see. I really couldn't find a better material than this, unfortunately. It's not perfect, it's a little bit thick, you know, wide even, but yeah, it ends up working somewhat pretty well. Using just these little squares and just drag them up and rotating and moving and blah 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 like so. You can kind of make the shape I was looking for. It's definitely not as neat as I maybe would have liked. There's always these little edges poking out and stuff like that, otherwise you can't get the bend in enough, but yeah, it ends up looking pretty cool, as you can see. So that's what we're going to be doing for us. So that's just a general pattern, you know, surrounding the outside, just making the building look a little bit more interesting. I didn't want to do too much with the building design itself. I did have an idea in mind about what it's going to look like, and I wanted the inside of the building to be the interesting bit. The building shape itself could just kind of blend in and sit very nicely into the forest and the wilderness in the area. Or I'm lazy, it's one of the two. This is about 2.5 hours worth of work, maybe just a bit under, sped up 7 times or something like that. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but it's something like that. And yeah, that's generally speaking what it's going to look like. Yeah, it looks alright. I'm going to cover up this doorway a little bit. And then we're just going to spend a little bit now just covering each side of the building in this patterning. I haven't done the stuff in the grass. You were going to see me mess around with water briefly at some point, but I just couldn't quite get it to work. The water kept spilling everywhere. It was the most moist building you've ever seen. So I'm going to have to try that again. Maybe make the glass a little bit, like more of a gap between the two glass pieces. That might be the way to do it. Or I might just bring in the plant life instead, or I might bring in something else entirely. I think this is going to be one of those buildings that looks a lot better at nighttime. I've got a lot of ideas for the lighting, and obviously that doesn't really work in the daytime, including the glass. The building that I base this off has this really beautiful, bright, shining blue glass, which we can't really do. But what we could do is put blue lights in the gap between the two panes of glass, and then that'll give it a look of, like, you know, blue glass. So at nighttime it's going to look really, really nice. It's just in daytime it looks a little bit on the dull side. But it will look better by the end. So, what I'm going to do is grab my I wasn't going to do these individually every single time. We're just going to grab those and duplicate these for the other sides. But we're going to rotate and stuff like that just to hopefully keep things mixing up. Apologies for the noise outside. It's 7 AM and yet people are still, like, I don't know what the bloody know what they're doing. Making a buttload of noise is what they're doing. What am I doing here? Yeah, just sinking the metal down a little bit into the roof. I actually end up scrapping this entirely. I did always have like a little bit of an idea in my head of what I want this to look like, based on things like going to the Natural History Museum recently and walking around their planetarium bit or their geography section in general. I think having a darker roof tends to work better, so we're going to end up replacing all that with black plaster towards the end. Gotta see this a lot. This entire build costs, God, probably 80,000 or something like that. I spent an absolute fortune today. But it is the last big thing we need to do, so I'm pretty okay with that. And hopefully we can make Blackrock profitable by the end of this as well. Of course, Blackrock will be back in the future when they add new North American animals. They kind of have with the doll sheep and stuff, but I think just having a pure tundra park is going to look thematically a little bit better, and it'll be nice to move on to something else. You know, Blackrock, we've spent a long time in Blackrock now, and I've loved it, but it might be time to experiment with something else a little bit as well. This is just going to be a, I was going to do an aquarium at the side, kind of based on the, remember I did a little video showcasing the jellyfish one a while ago. It's going to be based on that, basically. I don't know what else we'd do, but we'll have a little think, see if we can come up with any other ideas. That'll be in the next video. But it just, it just wasn't working at the side, so I ended up moving the aquarium into the middle. So this is going to be like this lit up ring that sits in the centre, and that's going to hang over the top of the aquarium, lighting it up, and it should hopefully at night time look really, really cool. So you're going to see me do this now. This is going to take a little bit of time, putting all the little light tubes in. I'm going to colour those in like a teal blue sort of colour, and I'm just going to drag those all the way around the outside. I haven't seen this at night time. The entire thing has been done in the daytime while paused. The idea is we'll do all of the building work that needs to be done by the end of the next video, and then we'll go through the lights and we'll see what it looks like, basically. So I'm gonna we'll have like a big light reveal at the end, and we'll do all our light building. But so hopefully that's gonna look cool. I think it will. It's based off like again an image I saw on Google Images essentially, so I'm optimistic. We're gonna do like a planetarium wall. The idea for this wall is quite different than the other planetarium we've got. It's a little silly to have two, but I'm just gonna roll with it. We're gonna build our solar system, so we're gonna have all the planets in order. Well, we're gonna have like a big sun, and we're gonna go all the way down to, we'll include Pluto, because, you know, who doesn't love Pluto? And we'll just have like a little planetarium wall kind of thing. I think that'll be pretty cool. Experimenting with the water, like I say, it just doesn't work. It's just the gap is too small, unfortunately. Unless I do like a ridge at the front of the building and have the water coming down over the front of the building, which is a possibility. But I do eventually put water in here, and I want to do like a water display, and we've got the forest in and stuff like that, and the whole thing does look a lot more interesting than it looks now, even without adding water and stuff like that. So we'll see. I'm still under consideration. I wanted to do 2 videos on this building, A, because it would take about 6 hours in total otherwise, but B, just because I think having your input for where we take this for what is going to be the final Blackrock episode is important. Yeah, end up getting rid of that entirely. Do mess around again with one more. No, do I just, what am I doing? Let's find out. Yeah, so again, I wanted to mess around with the plants in there, but I couldn't find one that was thin enough to squeeze through the gap. I really don't think I can do anything. I think we're just going to put the lights in, but I had to mess around, we had to experiment, we had to give it a go at the end of the day, just to see what we could do. Now, this was my first big problem. Had to scrap, eventually, all of the pathing, just because to put these in, they can't sit atop the path. You know, you can't have the path already in. You need to do your pathing over once you're let me check my zoo list. Once you're you've put your you know, when you put your small exhibits in, that's when you can then add the pathing afterwards. So I'm just going to make a big wall, essentially, and they are unfortunately sticking out off the back, so they all required moving, and then the path needed delete. It was all a pain in the ass. There's really no better way to put it. It was all a pain in the ass, but by scrapping all off the path and redoing it, it does fit in perfectly and, you know, don't have any problems, just because the small exhibits were put down on the same grid as the building itself, so it means the path perfectly fits in with the building itself, essentially. There's a little bit of a gap towards the back, but no big deal, so we're just going to fill that in again basing the flooring, colouring off. I think if you've got the black walls and stuff like that, things pop out a lot more, you know, and that's basically all I was hoping for. So the idea is this is a general educational science building. It's got some animals in there, but you go in and there's like an animal section, and there's like an aquarium section, and there's like a planetarium section, and there's a gap in the wall, but I will fix that later. I was going to try to put the aquarium here, as you'll see right now, but it just wasn't going to work, essentially. I just could not get it to function how I wanted, so we're going to experiment with this and eventually decide against it. It's obstructed, and no matter what I did, it was obstructed. You know, I couldn't... Maybe if I surrounded the fence around the whole thing, but then it would have been quite small. It's okay. We're just going to cram lots of stuff in and get lots of lights in. And you can see here what we're doing is getting rid of the path. The idea is to get the aquarium into the middle instead. And it was being a bit of a pain, what will I? But really the best way to do stuff like this is to actually put the bars in at the corner where you want your wall to end, and then go back and join them together. It really is the... You'll see, I'll do it here in a second. Get rid of those, put the bars in, put the bar in, and then join them together. It was bitching at me constantly about being obstructed. So I've ended up doing sort of 2 bars per line, but it is the best way, in my opinion, to do it. You can see it there working really nicely. And that goes up, and it does fill with water. So what we'll do in the next video is we'll put some lights in, we'll put some underwater stuff in, we'll make some jellyfish, and we'll do like a little underwater aquarium thing. It's going to be pretty cool. I know we did a workshop highlighting someone who did something similar, but I've seen like many other people do the same thing. It's quite a popular thing these days, so excited to give it a go for myself. Now, like I said, this was based on the Natural History Museum, or just general, you know, you go to a museum, you go to a science building, science centre kind of thing, and you've got lots of different displays, and they're all themed, and they're all designed to look like different things, sort of thing. That's kind of the theme we're going with here. Just a nice smallish building where the kids can come in, roam around, and the parents can... We'll put a bar at the back, and the parents can go get smashed while the kids look at rocks. That's the idea. But we're going to basically cover this entire back wall, except the edges, with these rocks, just to, I don't know, make it thematically beautiful. just to make it all fit. And we'll put some signs in there. I want to sink them into the big rocks, which is why I've put 2 of those in there. Some information signs and stuff like that, and just some donation boxes, little educational section. Really just theme the whole thing and get lots of props in there. It's going to be a little cheesy, a little over the top, you know, but that's kind of what these places look like at the end of the day. I think it's going to be really cool by the end. I would have liked to do a little bit more in this video, but I'm still a little bit dead, and when I got to like 2.5 hours, just thought, you know what, we'll do a double parter, and you guys can, you know, join in a little bit. You know, this Blackrock really has been a communal effort by and large, so I wanted you guys involved. Yeah, just I wasn't really sure how much I was going to sink these in, but we end up trying to hide basically the entirety of the walls off these things, so lots and lots of rocks going good here. It's where all my money goes. Plus these are, you know, 5,000 each or something ridiculous, so again, no money. Bearing in mind we've already spent like 40k or something at this point. But yeah, just bringing the rocks in, covering those walls up. This is going to be our, like I say, our Gila monster, our rattlesnake, and our big hairy scorpion. And who doesn't love a big hairy scuff? Oof. Oof. Erotic. Anyways, so just using the same sort of rocks to block in these walls a little bit. And yeah, there's not much more to it than this, actually. Just, I know, just wanted it to be displayed. I want some signs in there and stuff like that, maybe some flowers in the corner, some plant life in the corner. That eventually is going to be the wall, so the planets are going to hang off that top bit that's sticking out, and then there's going to be lights underneath, and then we're going to have like the fact information about each individual planet. That's the idea for there. It's going to be cool. It's going to be a really cool little building. It's going to be small and crammed in a lot of ways, and there's not much room, but... Sorry, a little experiment there. But I think it's going to look really cool. What I really wanted to do, so when you use your terrain tool and you dig down into the ground, if you go up to like a path or like a building, it won't sink in, basically. It'll stop sinking in. Kind of like in Zoo Tycoon, if you go to the end of a barrier and you dig down, it'll stop at the edge, which is really helpful. Planet Zoo doesn't do that. I was hoping that by using the barrier, it would actually do it. It would put it to the edge of the barrier, but it doesn't. You have to actually just do it yourself manually. But I put the barrier in there anyway, just as I wanted a barrier anyway, but kind of like a little marker. And the idea was to have like a little water display here at the front. I do want to put something in there. I'm thinking about building like like a modern counter-helix DNA symbol looking thing. I did have a little play with that later on in the video, but couldn't quite make it work. I'm thinking in the middle, having these like counter-helix DNA structures that sort of spurt water out a little bit. You know, just it's science, it's a water feature, it'll look modern. I think that'll look pretty cool. Do need to decide how on earth I'm going to do that. And you'll see I will screw around a little bit here with these triangles, just trying to build something, but it doesn't really come together. So I'm thinking we'll go for the DNA, and we'll do that in the next video. Once I've stopped faffing around, or even in this video, who knows? Like I said, we'll do a non-time-lapse bit towards the end. I actually quite like how that looks, but there's nothing to it. It's very boring, basically. So I'm thinking we'll get a nice like modern glass pole in the middle, and then have like these shards of metal kind of. You see I'm googling here for ideas. I really like that one, but it'll probably be sort of modern art inspired. We'll use some glass, we'll use some metal, and we'll get some helix shapes going on, but decide against it for now anyway, I think. Do I decide against it for now? I'm looking for any ideas. I do want to bring these things in because I think they're cool. I'm not convinced that's how I want to bring them in, but it'll do for now. So at this point I was losing my way a little bit, so I decided I'm going to do what I love the most, and that's foliage. Now, as people suggested, you can make your own filters. The problem is it takes bloody ages. You have to go on each individual piece of foliage and then tag it with Blackrock or whatever it is you want to tag it with. It could, in theory, be super helpful. Let's say you only needed 5 or 6 pieces of foliage, it wouldn't take that long. But I'm looking for like 4 sets total: North American temperate, North American grassland, North American taiga, North American tundra, all in one set. That would take so long to click and do for all of them that I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Basically, as simple as that. I did not have the willpower or patience to sit down and do that, especially now. Like maybe at the very start of Blackrock Park it would have been worth doing, but not at this point. We'd be here for months. So I decided against that, but helpful to know, you know, for the future maybe, so I appreciate that. Just putting the foliage, it really helps the area a lot. Again, buying more animals. Bringing the foliage really does make all the difference to how this looks, I think. Using my nettles again to bring the pathing in. Again, I think this is typically a pretty good idea. Bringing in some plants towards the back as well. My beloved Labrador. And yeah, so what we're going to do as well, it's not just a science centre, it's a whole thing. Gonna fence off this middle bit where the trees, the glass boundary trees are. Gonna bring all those in. Totally mess it up for a moment. Lovely stuff. Bring all those in. And this is what I mean. Like, there was some cleanup going on here as well. I just really wanted to get the park to a point where it feels finished, and it is nearly there. This costs a fortune, by the way. Absolute fortune. Like, I'm on 10,500 right now. Just keep an eye on my money as we do this. I don't know if I duplicate something else by accident, but it's like just in a moment my money just disappears completely. Yeah, I mean that's over 1,000 per click, and I do that like 3 times, and yeah, all my money disappears into nothingness. There it goes. And I try to move that up there, realise I can't afford it, and have to go buy yet more Bengal tigers. And that's not even it. Not even done yet. I'm gonna have to buy yet more animals later on. It is crazy how much this costs, Blackrock Park. It really is. It's what you get for trying to use all the materials, all the modern materials, and just bringing a ton of stuff in to hopefully make it look nice. A little bit of a gap there, just stick some honestly, if you've got a little gap that you think's making things look less neat, just stick some bloody flowers in, and it makes all the difference in the world. But yeah, bringing in the dark wood here, that's what we're using in the area in general as well, so it's nice to keep that sort of thematic consistency going. and it just ties the whole thing together a little bit. As you can see. I'm going to miss Blackrock, but like I say, we'll be back if they do add, let's say they come back with like moose, or, you know, there are tons of North American animals they could potentially add to the game. It's like one of the more, along with Europe and Australia, it's definitely one of the more sort of neglected sections, even if they did get a handful in the latest DLC. So, how long have we got left? A minute. At the moment, what I'm doing is basically just grabbing like a bunch of foliage, sinking it down into the ground a little bit so it actually fits, and I lost all my money again. So we have to sort that out. Just basically all the sight lines we have around the park where you're potentially going to see out into nothingness, just cover that in trees, cover that in foliage, just make it feel like from above it looks a little bit odd, but when you're walking around it really does feel like, you know, it's just this little park situated in the forest. There's a whole world out there. I just wanted it to feel natural. I can't keep saying those words, but it's true. I just wanted it to feel natural, like it was a real place that we'd built this beautiful natural environment, that we wanted to build a park that honoured that, you know? So lots of foliage around the outside, all the way around there as well, basically enclosing the entirety of the park within the foliage. And that's probably it, right? Yep, so we are going to hop in game. We might do a little, I'll give you a little tour kind of thing. We'll talk a little bit about the plans for the next video. We might build a little something as well. Maybe we'll work on the aquarium a little bit, or the planetarium, or who knows, but I'll see you folks in a moment. Right then, here we go. Apparently you have an important alert, but it's nothing I care about, frankly. So, let's ignore that. How are we doing on our animals? Yes, all our new animals are a little bit less than ideal, but we can fix that, no problem. Let's take a look up first. So, as you can see from above, Blackrock has been ensconced somewhat. That is Blackrock finished. There will be no more to the layout, no more expansion, blah blah blah, until new animals come in, and then we'll have to think about how we want to do that, how we want to integrate that. They will probably go, we've got this area over here, remember, beyond the mine, that's currently a dead end. You actually can't cross there because there's a bit of staff path. So eventually the idea is we'll go back beyond here and Blackrock can open out into this. We've got all the room in the world. We definitely need more shops and stuff like that, but it's just because, I mean, I'm really happy with how Blackrock looks. Yeah, it's just, there's trees everywhere, but there's modern materials everywhere as well. There's all these little details. We've got the Ghost of Blackrock, we've got the cafe. There's a lot to like here. I still haven't done this bit, I keep forgetting. I have to get on that. But yeah, looking good. So, if we head over down this bit, as you can see, the trees have moved. I do need to put some foliage probably in the bottom of here as well. But if you head down this way, the building does look a little different from the front, I would say. I don't think it particularly blends in from the front, but from above, you know, it's got very much the same style as the rest of them. It's just the front's a little bit funky, which is okay. You walk down here, there's our nettles, there's our Labrador tea, and you walk into this. Now, this is obviously very much undone. We're really going to focus on the inside in the next video. There's going to be a lot of lighting going on, though, so the idea is we can bring this up, and this does work, as you have seen. If we grab that bad boy, or bad girl, or have you been a bad girl? Come on, aquarium, be a good girl. Where are we? Where's the bloody uppy bit? There's the uppy bit. Grab that. We can go in here, go in there, and how high? What? Right, yeah. I know this works. We can go pretty bloody high. I actually probably want it a little lower than that. I probably don't want it quite to, probably like that, so the blue light hangs over the top of it, and we're gonna hopefully make it look like a little aquarium, or like a big aquarium. So you imagine that's filled with stuff all lit up at night time, filled with fake jellyfish. You're gonna walk around there, you can walk around to the back, we'll have info signs on here, and you can stop by and take a look at our who's in here. Oh yeah, Gila monster, there they are, cool. We've got our Gila monsters, we've got our scorpions, nope, that's our rattlesnakes. And indeed, we have our scorpions over here. So I'm thinking we can put some signs in this gap where that big flat rock is, and just general some mist and stuff like that. Just, you know, ham it up a little bit, get it nice and cheesy. Hopefully none of you are lactose intolerant, because we're gonna get cheesy as hell. Some stuff like rock pillars over there as well. Some mist. That'll be our aquarium. On the right we'll have our planets. So the idea is I'm gonna have some lights hanging under this gap here that'll light down. Info signs all the way along there, and we'll build our own little versions of each planet across that top ridge. You know, from, like I said, from the sun technically not a planet, but you see my point, from the sun all the way down to Pluto at the far end. And just a little info sciencey planetarium thing. The only place I don't know what to do is this bit on the left. Now, we could do some shops, but I'd like to do some sciencey stuff instead. Screw shops, screw income. It'll be the last video, so I don't care that much about that kind of thing. I'd like to do something cool. I love that noise effect. Blomp. So again, that's part of the reason I want to talk to you guys. You know, if you've got any ideas, any suggestions, something, what would you have in a science building? We've got animals, we've got an aquarium, which also contains animals, but you see my point. We've got a planetarium. What else would you have in an area like this? What else would you include in this building? That wall there. The wall could stay glass, or it could be covered with material. It doesn't really matter either way. I'm open to suggestions. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's beautiful, isn't it? Like I said, it needs a little bit more lighting in this bit there, but other than that, we're pretty good. Let's nip instead of planetarium. Just a cheeky little look in the planetarium. Nice. Let's go check out our other one. And it is going to have stars and stuff as well, the other one, but also planets. There it is. Need lights out here as well, but there'll be lights, you know, these lights will continue along the path, just like they do over there, so it should kind of light the whole area up anyway. That's pretty cool. That is very much what I was looking for. It's kind of like, is it Dr. Strangelove, where they've got the table in the middle of the giant pointed room, yeah? Harry learned to, you know, love the bomb, blah, blah, blah. Harry learned to stop worrying and love the bomb. And it's kind of like the Muse song, Time Is Running Out. I believe it's based on that. I only made that connection fairly recently, but there's tons of sort of parodies of that and stuff like that. But that's kind of what that light looks like. I think that's very funky. I'm very down with that. And of course these are nicely lit up as well. It's our Gila monster. Not that he's a monster, he's a babe. Right, so one thing I do want to do then, whilst we're here, we're going to get some lights in this bit here. I've got a very specific idea for how I want these to look. Can I just put these in? You're not going to actually see the lights themselves, but it's important that it looks cool. And I think I want these to be like orange. I'm not sure that's it looks really cool on the you can't really that does look pretty cool though. Oh, I don't know. Like when you see it from here, I think that looks awesome. It's kind of spooky in its own way. But I'm not sure it's bright enough. It's probably my main worry. What we can do though is maybe fix that. So what we'll do is we'll do a nice long line of this. Like so. And then what we might be able to... I don't know. That's probably bright enough, actually, now that I look at it. But if need be, what we can do is grab them all, duplicate them, and just shove them up a little bit, and that should effectively double how light they are. I just want it to be... I just want to have some fun with this, you know? It's the last thing we're doing for now. I just want it to be a little bit over the top, a little cheesy, a little fun. A little fun. A little fun never hurt anyone, folks. Actually, it probably has killed many, many people. Ignore what I just said. Don't have fun. Never have fun. You must be stoic. Like a tree. An old elm sitting upon the hill. And some days, Jimmy will go and sit by the tree and read his book. And pine over Susie. He loves Susie. Susie doesn't love him. Susie loves Rudiger. The butcher's boy. This will make sense eventually. Alright, this is not quite going to work how I wanted. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's like a spaceship or something. I retain that if you wanted to, you could build some really cool spaceships or horror sets and stuff like that. I'm tempted to make it blue, it must be said, and have that sort of blue as the theme. What I want to do, if I can, is grab them all anyway. It's a little difficult, but if we grab them all, then we can edit the colours, and we can also duplicate to get them a little bit brighter. Really, I want more light on this bottom bit, this black plaster we've got underneath, so let's just see what we can do here. I always like to build something at the end of the videos. I should really plan for it better now that I think about it. Let's try... Oh, that's pretty cool as well, though. It could maybe be a little bit more on the blue side. It's okay. I'm going to try duplicating it. Give me that electricity bill, son. I don't know, the orange definitely stuck out more, but I think that makes more sense. And we'll just keep using those blues everywhere in the building. That's another thing I wanted to do, actually, now that I remember. Whilst we're doing things, I wanted to maybe put them along the glass. I don't know if this is going to be a little bit too far, but I'm thinking. And thinking got me drinking. Little reference for you there. And maybe along the top of the glass, just on the path leading into the building, it might look pretty cool. Just again, just more, I don't know, techie and sciencey and light and fun and all that kind of jazz. That's what we're looking for here. Let's grab all those, duplicate across. Get things nice and speedy. Yeesh. Yeesh. Power. So forth. I think that's going to fit perfectly as well. Or nearly. That'll do. Let's grab those, duplicate across. Like so. Make sure that sits nicely in the middle. How are we looking? How are we looking? We're looking sexy. Yeah, come on, that's pretty cool. I want to bring more of these in as well. Wait. Why isn't that? Oopsie daisy. Because it's not too bright either. It's a little bit more chill, but I don't know. Space agey, isn't it? Space agey. So we've got the lights there, we've got the lights in there, which you don't really see until you're over here. But then the spaceship look kind of makes sense. I think we'll bring some in for. Are you inside that? No. We'll bring some in. We'll stick with similar colours. Maybe a few more for the aquarium itself. Whatever we put up here will light in the same way. I don't know. We'll just make it a theme. Science building. I want to finish that off in the next video anyway, because I really want you guys to be a part of this decision-making process. What do we do to bring this to life eventually? How do we finish it off? And same with the DNA. Yes, maybe what we can do is use these to make our DNA helix. Now that I think about it, let's give that a little go. Let's get cheeky. So I really should use like an example image but instead of doing this off the top of my head. But you'd have it. I think you could actually just spin it around like that, and that would look really cool. You just elongate it, make it longer, spin it around like that, and put like a dark pillar sort of connecting them all together, and you'd get this really. Let's just give it a go. What else are we going to do with our lives, eh? Let's give it a go. Alright, so let's make this longer. Tell you what, let's make this its own group first. Actually, I don't know what the hell I just did over there. Okay, I duplicated that entire thing. Okay, good job. We stopped that. So let's make this nice and long. Maybe a 4? Let's go for a 5. I want it to be big and impressive. No jokes. I grab those, set into a group. Okay. And I don't know if this is going to work. I really should have an example image before doing this, but in theory, this will work. And I just want to keep duplicating upwards. Rotate about the same amount each time. Might be going a little bit soft on the rotation. Let's just see what it looks like. You never know unless you don't try. Like, this wasn't really a plan. I didn't have this in mind before I started this video, other than I want to do something with DNA. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, no, I really like that. I think it's awesome. Look at that. Little beauty, isn't it? Can you tell I'm quite chuffed? Right, I don't think that's actually in the middle. Let's just move that slightly. And it is floating, which is good. All I need to do, I think honestly, like having one pole right down the middle is enough to make this look like it's not floating. I'm really happy with that. It's definitely taken longer than I expected, but still. So I don't want a light, I just want a pole. The game is oddly limited in poles. What do you call it? A pole or pillar or... I don't think that's going to work. I just want a stick. You know, I'm not asking for much. Just give me a nice big stick. Well, like a thin one. Just a thin metal bar is really all I'm looking for. There are similar things. Like I've got it in mind with the one I'm looking for. I just need to find the bloody thing. You cheeky little blighter. Where you at? Hi girl, how you living? Seriously, where is that? Do 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 do. Right, yeah, something like that. But like a thin one. Post is what we're looking for. I just want one of these that doesn't have like a little annoying blob at the bottom. Just a pole. All I want is a pole. Like that's probably the best one we're gonna get. Does this work? I have no idea. Right, let's just give it a go. Okay. Separate that out. Move it across. Yeah, there you go. Stops it floating, doesn't super get in the way either, in my opinion. Sink it down a little bit. I just want it just to poke out the top there. I mean, you could make the case that it's definitely still floating, but we'll just pretend it's not. So I grab those, put those into a group, hit Control X, and it's kind of being a pain, but that's okay. Yep, okay, and let's rotate that around a little bit so it just looks a little different. There we go. Hey, that's pretty cool. That's our science center. Looking sciencey. I actually really want to keep these. I might use this for something else. God knows what I would possibly use these for ever again, but you never know. There might be something down there. Obviously, now it's the inside that... Sorry, I'm chuffed with that. Obviously, the inside needs a lot of love. I'm thinking something else on the door as well, maybe, or something just to light the... Ah, yeah, of course I want to light the building itself up. Oh, let's bloody do that as well then. I keep unclicking it. I mean, from the inside, it looks pretty cool. It's from the outside, it's not quite working the way I want. I'll have a little play around with that though. Like I'm 99% sure this can work. It just needs a little love. I think from the outside, the inside it looks pretty cool anyway, but. Yeah, I do want to try to light that glass up a bit. Anyways, I've gone on for way longer than I anticipated. I will end it there. Hope you've enjoyed this extra long video. Please feel free to leave suggestions in the comments down below for the science building. It is at the end of the day, the last thing we're going to do. So let's go out, make it special. I will get the lights done before the next video. As in all around here. I think I might keep this one-sided. All around there, and then all around there. And then it's just a case of finishing off the science building, and then of course we'll do our grand tour. Until then, thank you very much for joining me. Cheers, much love as always. Bye bye. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to help support me a little bit more, you can do so at patreon.com/bestinslot. There's a link in the description down below. Every little really does help in times like these, but it's not at all expected, and by just watching the video you've already helped me out massively, and it makes you a pretty cool person, so well done you. Thanks for joining me either way, I'll see you next time.